very nice, very nice, very nice, very nice. Fun reviews that get no views, gives me the blues. Very nice. Now we be insanity, no reality. Very nice. Sweet and sour, this is our little mess. Very nice. There's never very nice. It's time for very nice.
Hi guys, Mike Wazowski here.
And his accomplice is James P. Sullivan.
And I hope you all are having a great day.
I know I am.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
So Barry and Piglet, they couldn't be here today. You know, they were kind of
This is
busy.
kind of our show now.
Kind of busy. Say you are going to.
This is our YouTube channel now, folks. Don't ignore them. I mean, ignore them.
You can't even put a sentence together. Sully, just leave. Just walk away, Sully. I know you're mentally sane enough to just walk away when you know it's the right thing to do. Just walk away. Walk away. No, Mike,
what?
Turn around.
This is my YouTube channel now, guys.
Yep,
hey,
Mike,
guys,
Mike,
my fans.
Turn around.
Bye, Mike.
Start walking, and don't
pay
stop.
for this, very nice.
Stop.
You will pay for this, Piglet.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever pay for anything. Hi, folks. It's the real Barry and Piglet. Sorry for that ruckus. I don't know what that was about. Maybe like a prelude to some video. But we're back with the Sylvester video. We're finally on to the third season. How about it?
Yeah.
Should we just dive right in, not waste any time at all?
Yeah, so we'll just a quick little back thing. This is the third part to why this Sylvester Dog 2 is the best. And we're now on to the third season. It's because of the superior writing, music, and stuff like that. And this season,
Stuff like that. That's what it's about.
This season is when things get more intense. And
yeah, we'll have a instead of focusing on talking about effects and music this season, we're gonna talk more about the development of Sylvester and Ace's characters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Ghostlight.
Yeah, and character
Ghostlight is the one bad Sylvester serial.
Yeah, it's character development, which, remind you, none of Classic Doctor Who's ever had.
Yeah,
before.
Classic Doctor Who doesn't have a lot of it.
No.
Alright,
let's get right
let's
to
get
it.
going, yeah. So, the first serial of the last season of Classic Doctor Who was Battlefield.
Oh yes, I read the
novelization.
That's right, I did read the novelization.
So did I.
Now, these episodes aren't the worst this season.
What do you mean? You think they're bad?
No, they're not
bad.
my favorite. They're pretty good. They don't. One of the main problems is they don't really explain as much in this one.
No.
However, you can understand what's going on.
Yeah.
You can understand the basis of what's going on if you just pay attention. Unlike Ghostlight, where I'm honestly in the next part of this video, and we have to talk about it. I really don't know what I'm gonna say. So pretty much the plot.
Well, the novelization explains what happens.
Yeah, the thing about the novelizations for the up to episodes is usually they explain what the episode doesn't, because in the episode Sylvester is acting as Merlin, where he's set all these vents ahead in the future, but in the episode, it's Sylvester from the past, and he is just assuming he's done all this stuff in the future, setting everything up and being Merlin and doing all this. However,
There's the prologue in the book that establishes this a lot more.
It never really says that in the episode. He kind of just keeps hinting at it.
Yeah.
He never really actually confirms it.
So in the episodes, Sylvester's character goes a lot more darker and really starts to get to the breaking point of what his character is driven to. So now the plot of this is, as it was said, Sylvester's acting kind of as Merlin, and this is where things kind of fall apart. Knights from another dimension. Now, no, it never really honestly identifies where they come from in the episodes.
But in the book, it does say another. They say once or twice from another dimension.
And they actually go to the other dimension in the book.
In the book, they actually say
don't,
what the other dimension is.
Yeah.
In the book, we forgot everything. But anyway, knights from another dimension have come for Excalibur, which is this sword, which is in
Everybody knows what Excalibur is.
a spaceship in the bottom of the lake. And it never really says in the episode where the spaceship comes from or where King Arthur comes from and how he's, when just been turned into sand, or he's pretty much just weathered away over time. But it really pretty much says all this, how it all works in the book and everything, but it doesn't really identify that in the episode, which doesn't hurt it too much.
Yeah, not as much as Ghostlight. So, let's continue on. So, we had some new characters and small ones. Brigadier returns. Yeah, that's good.
The Brigadier's
last episode. Kind of like the Goodbye Brigadier specials.
He was originally supposed to die in this episode.
But, of course, he couldn't. I don't know. People may not have liked it as much if he died.
Yeah.
We got some other characters. Xiaoying. Thank you.
She's an Asian woman.
She doesn't do a lot, but she's there.
She kind of just stands around, and it's kind of racist. Hack's a little racist.
Yeah, kind of.
Classic Doctor Who was racist. Just flat out.
Doctor Who was racist.
Always racist.
And when they try they try things like to put the neo-Nazis there, like anti-racist message, but then they just throw this Chinese girl in there and give her like a name and make her act like kind of.
Yeah.
So and so the Knights of Another Dimension have come to get Excalibur, being led by the evil witch Morgaine. And honestly, it doesn't really explain who she is, but
I think they kind of rely on you to know who she is ahead of time, and her son Mordred. I don't really think the characters of Morgaine and Mordred are very important King Arthur characters, because when you look them up, other stuff does come up, but mainly only like their Doctor Who Wikipedia fandom articles. That's about it.
Yeah, so about that. And so then there was the hero, Ancelin, in the episodes. It honestly doesn't really say who Ancelin is or where he comes from.
He just comes out of the sky in his ship, and he's just the good knight. In the book it just says who
he's a traitor.
He's a traitor to Mordred, but they never say this in the episode.
No. And so since Brigadier's here, we also have to have Unit. And so Unit is back. Like they'd care about that in modern Doctor anymore, but Unit is back, and so they've got there's a missile. They've got this missile that's stuck.
They just have this nuclear missile stuck in the lake. And so Morgaine eventually gets her hands on it, and Sylvester does this big speech about nuclear missiles and what they can do in it. So
it's a pretty touching. That's one of Sylvester's more dark moments.
Yeah,
I'd say. When things get into the plot, Sylvester gets dark. For example, he nearly decapitates Mordred to save Ace and Xu Ying. However, well, of course he doesn't, but he really does.
He does.
He does use some random Time Lord magic on Mordred later in the episode too. Doesn't really say how or what he does, but he kind of just puts his hand on him. Sylvester also kind of gets a little lenient, and he does let Ace destroy the spaceship at the bottom of the lake, so that's good.
Yeah.
Once again, they kind of try out a love romance with Ancelin and Winifred,
the new Brigadier.
but it's kind of there. It's a bit more there in the book. But it's
classic Doctor Who isn't known for its romance, needless to say.
The romance isn't terrible, but it's not great either. It's kind of just there.
Yeah, it doesn't really add anything. But
if you could take it out and not much would be affected besides a few lines of Ancelin.
Yeah. Look, there are a couple dramatic moments, like the missile and being decapitated, which makes it a lot better than Tom Baker or Old Man.
Don't forget Genesis of the Daleks.
Because those episodes really never had anything that
But Genesis of the Daleks, Tom's gonna destroy the Daleks, but he chooses not to. But that's a story for another time.
Yes.
And so
the effects are
the original effects, if you will.
Sparks and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of just on the gun sparks. There's some on-set explosions, which are pretty impressive.
Yeah.
However, some of the knight armor is obviously just plastic Halloween costumes. That brings it down a little. The sword fights are all right. They could be better, but
the action sequences are the fighting is pretty good, but there's a couple of them, but they only last for 40 seconds at the most. Which is
the episode is more about suspenseful, intense moments, like Sylvester going to decapitate Mordred or the Destroyer. In the book, it describes the Destroyer half the time as this man.
That's what he was originally supposed to do if they cut it from the episode.
Yeah, so that gets a little confusing. But in the episode, he's just this monster. It gets pretty intense when he's gonna take Ace and Xu Ying, but of course, He doesn't. Ace and Showing survive. Yeah. However, the magic chalk. Sylvester gives Ace magic chalk.
And it never says where
I don't even think it explains it in the
book.
No.
So, yeah. There are, like, the thing of this episode is there's quite a few unexplained things, but the other moments, like Sylvester and the decapitation,
they can make up for
it. And the music, that all makes up for it.
Yeah, the music's pretty good. It's Kev, so that's good. And this is unfortunately Kev's last episode, so that's
not counting Shadow or Dimensions in Time.
But no one really likes those. There's them, but we have the original Shadow. Yeah. So in the end, it kind of just ends. The ending of it feels a little bit just like a happy-go-lucky. They just gave this audience this ending, like, so they could be happy for the Brigadier got a good ending, like, so it just, like, ends with, like, Brigadier and, like, Anselm and Sylvester watching the girls drive off, and Bessie, and
like,
so it's just, like, I'll cook supper, and it's kind of just, like, really? This is the ending we get? It's kind of a bit, I don't want to say dumb, but it's, like, they put this in there because that's what the audience wants. After all this, the audience wants a happy-go-lucky, everybody turns out fine, everybody gets like a happy ending. However, this seems something more like they could put at the end of a season, but they don't. And when that next episode just starts Ghostlight, it acts like this honestly never happened.
Yeah, that's the thing about Doctor Who serials. A lot of the serials don't really have respect for the other serials. However, in this season, they do incorporate aspects and
Fenwick playing chess,
and they do actually start to connect things, which is good. So, that's a pretty good episode.
You're forgetting the Night Commander.
Oh, yeah.
The Night Commander, he's this character. He shows up. Talk about him a lot. He's a pretty important guy.
Oh, Sophie Aldred almost died before.
Oh yeah, Sophie Aldred almost died.
Then there's the scene where she gets trapped in the capsule and it's filling with water, and she starts banging on the window, and she almost cracked it and broke it, and the water almost went onto the electrical wires on set, which would have electrocuted and killed her and several other crew members.
And I think if that had happened, that would have just been the nail in the coffin. Doctor would have been done right there. We're just done. Just stop filming. No more season. We're finished. They already wanted to kill it, but that's just we're done.
But luckily that didn't happen.
Yes.
So this season does exist.
Yes, certainly, and it's a pretty good serial.
Yeah.
So Sylvester slowly is starting to get more or less of a cheeky, happy-go-lucky doctor, but more into a much more intense, darker doctor, which will fit the final two serials. But honestly, Ghostlight, I couldn't even tell you what even happens in Ghostlight, so honestly, nothing really advances in Ghostlight at all. Yeah. And Ace starts to become a little more intense and connected to Sylvester. However, that happens a lot more in the final two serials. So should we move on to Ghostlight?
Yes.
Okay, so get ready for Ghostlight, because I don't think I am.
Okay, so the next serial, the second serial of the 26th season of Doctor Who is Ghostlight.
Yeah, Ghostlight.
Ghostlight is the worst serial of the season and the worst Sylvester serial for many reasons. I mean, it's better than every Tom Baker serial, but I mean, for Sylvester.
Are you sure about that?
Positive.
I don't know, but this is pretty bad. Put it that. It's pretty bad. The Gunfighters may even be better than this.
Maybe. But anywho, so the plot of this episodes are really hard. It's really hard to understand because like most of the essential scenes, they explain everything, got cut for time.
We haven't read the novelization yet, so
we
can't really give you a really good explanation on this one.
No. And the plot itself is, in the actual 3 episodes, is really loose. It's really... they don't explain a lot. Weird. It's confusing. It's weird. The actors didn't even know what was going on. This is Sylvester's favorite episodes, but he doesn't know what's going on. No one on set knew what the heck was going on.
Ace is supposed to have a lot of development, I feel like, in these episodes, because this is the haunted house Ace went into as a child.
And then she burned it down, but now she's visiting it in the past.
Because didn't her best friend get killed in a racist crime?
Yes.
So see, there are more anti-racist messages for classic Doctor Who is still racist with proven by the last serial.
Yeah.
But so besides developing Ace's character, honestly,
the story doesn't really
isn't the greatest.
I mean,
it doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's supposed to be a lot more like darker and scary, which I guess it is darker and scary, but like it would be more darker and scary if I knew what was going on. Like if I knew what was going on. Like so there's this guy and I don't even know who he is. He's just he's just
doing experiments on people.
He's just like cataloging, and he's like had enough. So he just wants to destroy Earth. I don't really know what type of like being he is. He's just
then there's Nimrod.
He's lived there. There's literally this butler, and his name is Nimrod. He is a Neanderthal.
Yeah, he's a Neanderthal. I don't really know how he got here, or
he never really says how there's a Neanderthal.
He's here.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, there's.
Well, the music is horrible.
The music is also just.
It's just typical Mike Aries, and it's nothing impressive.
No.
It's just like bland or just organ music, and that isn't really helpful. And that's honestly about.
I couldn't really tell you what happens in these episodes. I'm really sorry. I couldn't. These episodes are some of the episodes I feel like that give the Sylvester era the bad name, and. Honestly, I'm gonna say these episodes suck. They're weird.
I kind of see why.
They don't make sense. They're not explained.
I feel like if they were to, like, for example, turn this into a 4-parter and include all the exclamation, then maybe it would have been just fine, or it could have held up better.
However, it didn't.
No, and they don't really explain anything.
House kind of reminds me of the Addams Family house, only a teeny bit.
The weird thing is that the original plot of the story was it was supposed to take place on Gallifrey and be like about like Sylvester's like childhood and like a lot of like stuff like that, like take place in his childhood home on Gallifrey, but they for some reason decided to change that because it would reveal too much about like Sylvester's character and stuff, and well, I mean, you know, the Doctor's character and stuff, but that might have worked better for the plot. But then again, they might not have explained that as much either.
Yeah. In the end, this serial kind of just falls apart when you really want to think about it. If you just want to watch some classic Doctor Who just to watch, and you don't really want anything too complicated, I guess, go ahead.
Turn on Ghostlight. It's nice background noise.
Yeah, honestly, unfortunately, that's about it for Ghostlight. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. That's really the only way I can put it. Doesn't make sense. We try to develop Ace's character. I feel like we do develop Ace's character a little, but I think I would have enjoyed the development a lot more if I knew what the heck was going on.
Like, I feel like this episode could have done so much more and better if I knew what was going on.
And this could kind of be compared to the previous episode, Battlefield, where
you don't know as much as what's going on, but there's still a bunch of other things.
And kind of like the Curse of Fenwick, you don't know as much as going on, but you know enough to understand what's going on. These episodes really remind me of the final episode of the Psychic Circus, but
it's a
three of them.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Curse of Fenwick.
So a quick point is that even though we're saying Sylvester is the best, everything always does have a bad nut sometimes.
Yeah.
Nothing is perfect.
Nothing's perfect, and Ghostlight is pretty far from perfect.
So the third serial of the last season of classic Doctor Who is The Curse of Fenwick.
Probably the most intense Sylvester serials, and one of the more intense episodes of classic Doctor Who.
Yeah. Now, The Curse of Fenwick takes place during World War II, and so Sylvester and Ace kind of just like travel back to World War II, and so there's this evil entity called Fenwick, or he's not really called that, but that's what like the locals call him. He's trapped inside this vase, and when they put him up to this giant computer machine, it releases him.
Called the Ultimate Machine.
Yeah, releases him, and he possesses this man called Dr. Judson.
Oh no.
Yeah. Anywho,
we haven't read the novelization for this one yet either, so we won't be able to explain as much. Some of it in this episode is a bit strange. So at times they start to ramble on about some strange things. Fenwick talks about how Sylvester grabbed bones from the sand and carved them into pieces and challenged them to his game. And now Fenwick and Sylvester have dueled in the past. So Sylvester never really confirms this.
No.
He knows what's going on though, and knows who Fenwick is, and goes along with it. And of course, he beats him. This is also one of Ace's more, well, it's her second to last year, so it is her big kind of turning point episode where she kind of loses the just faithful, obedient companion, and kind of becomes
starts questioning.
And kind of gets to the point where Sylvester kind of shuts down with Ace and doesn't really tell her a lot, and that kind of
it's all
frustrates her. I'd say.
Like it's all part of his plan to make her not have faith in him. And he doesn't really tell her anything. Again, this is kind of like the Matt Smith episode, The God Complex, where Matt tries to get Amy to not have faith in him so he can, win. But this came out like 20 years before that. But, so, there's a lot more character development for Sylvester and Ace, which is good.
I'd say, Ace definitely undergoes it. However, the ending, she kind of just goes back to being friends with Sylvester. She jumps into the water, takes a dip.
That's symbolism.
Yes, I know what symbolism.
The episode is full of symbolism, religious meaning, religious symbolism, dark religious themes.
With the vicar.
Yeah, he does a lot of religious dark stuff.
Well, yes, because, and then of course, how can we get the hemivores?
Yeah, they're humans from the future, but what happens is Fenwick wants to cover the whole Earth in chemicals, and it eventually, in the future, would turn the people slowly into these evil monsters, and so he brings them back in time, I think, and...
Doesn't that kind of create a paradox, though? Because they're being brought back, but then Sylvester prevents the Earth from being covered in chemicals?
Yeah, then they cease to exist, pretty much.
Yeah, so... Yeah. And so... it's definitely a lot more of a violent episode, especially with, like, the chemicals... And, well, they do kill some people with chemicals, obviously. Yes. And so the Univores do possess quite a few people. Some of it, I'm not sure if they did this just to be generally cheap, and they probably did, unfortunately. Half the Hemivores in the end are just teenage girls with long fingernails.
Yeah.
They probably mainly just did that to be cheap. Maybe it makes it more scary for some people. In my eyes, it kind of just came off as, I shame we can't have any more Hemivores. It was okay when we just had the 2, but then when they get like 20 more, it's just like, why? Why couldn't we have just completely turned them into Hemivores?
Well, that's part. The BBC doesn't have a big budget for costumes, of course.
Yeah,
but the episode, as we said, is more violent. They do kill off a lot more.
A lot more messages on faith, holding faith in people, definitely, because faith is what holds back Hemivores,
and not just not like religious faith, but any faith in general, just.
Like Ace's faith in Sylvester, the vicar's faith in his religion, Captain Soren's faith in the Soviet Union, which protects everybody for a little while. And so, well, of course, Captain Soren gets possessed by Fenwick, and there's this one scene where Fenwick possesses Dr. Jetson, and it looks horrifically terrible.
He's sitting in his wheelchair, and you literally see him wheeling himself back.
And like he screams, like falls down slowly.
And that's one of the more lower parts of the serial. But aside from that, there's really... honestly, nothing else really wrong with it.
Some of it goes a bit unexplained, is a bit confusing, but if you pay attention, you'll get the gist, and it's a good ride, I'd say.
Unlike, say, like Ghostlight, where it's supposed to be like dark and like character development, but you're so confused on what's going on,
you can't even really understand or enjoy it at all.
Where in this episode you can get the basic premises, so therefore they can end up being dark, and there can be character development, and you can actually know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. However, I would say, I wouldn't say there's really any specific low points in the episode. Ace brings back her ladder, too.
Yeah.
The one that they use in Iceworld and Dragonfire.
Yeah.
What else? There's this scene at the beginning of the first episode, this, like, Hitler trick-out scene.
Yeah, that was... kind of, that was just the Hitler trick-out scene.
Kind of just threw it in there. I'm not really sure why they have it, the Hitler scene in there. They kind of just put it in there, kind of foreshadowing things.
There's a lot of foreshadowing. Also, they make a lot of connections. So they're
just like in the Silver Nemesis, when Sylvester's playing chess, he's playing chess with Fenwick, and back in Iceworld, he says as well.
Yeah, that's all this stuff. Because Class Doctor typically the episodes, maybe they'll like mention an event from the last episode, but they'll never be like a legitimate connection.
No,
this is the first time where they actually connect up with each other, which is good.
Yeah,
the music.
Unless it's like a Dalek assignment episode, where they're like, oh, we're back, and it's like how, and like, oh, we survived, and it's like, Oh,
Yeah.
you always do.
Yeah. Anyway, the music in this episode is better than usual. It's just
Some
more
of it is.
Some of it. A lot of it. It would be better if it wasn't so repetitive. The soundtrack altogether is over an hour long. And
Yeah,
that's
but on
simply,
CD.
Yeah, but it's simply because of how repetitive it is.
Yeah. Some of it's good. Some of it matches the intenseness. However, some of it does just get repetitive. It just dreary.
This again, no.
Yeah, some of it kind of sounds like music from Spooky Buddies.
Yeah.
And this came out like 20 years beforehand, so
yeah.
I don't really know. There's no, there is in general no connection. There's no connection at all.
No connection at all.
I'm just saying it kind of sounds like it, but there's literally no connection.
Yeah.
So I would say this could have possibly worked as the last episode of Doctor Who, a really big, huge, just intense finale, kind of, but this isn't the last episode. The last episode is Survival, and Survival they don't explain as much in either, but it's still alright, but the music in Survival isn't as
horrible.
Yeah, isn't as good as the music in this.
Yeah.
So, in the end, it's a pretty good serial, I'd say. The action's pretty decent. Most of the, some of the effects are alright. Then some of the other ones aren't the greatest, though, but yeah.
The rest is pretty good.
Yeah, there's alright. There's this one part where Fenwick teleports, and when I first watched it, I literally thought he was regenerating for a split second. I knew he wasn't a Time Lord, but what else are you doing in Doctor Who when your whole body lights up and like you throw your arms back and put your head up and like and like there's this huge bang of noise? What else are you really doing? But no, he's just teleporting.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd kind of mention it.
Yeah.
And so besides that, this episode really does show development with Ace and Sylvester. It really pushes Ace to the breaking point with how much she can truly stand of the mysterious Doctor character.
Yeah.
Of course, she sticks around for the next episode. Maybe that will be her downfall. Then Ace also does kind of connect back up with her hatred towards her mother. Because Ace ends up saving her mother as a baby. But then again, they don't really after these episodes, they don't really connect back up to it, because in the next episode, when they return to Perivale, they don't visit Ace's parents, but at least they do connect Ace back up with this, and because Ace, it does explain also what happened with the time storm, and putting Ace on Ice World, the Curse of Fenwick.
Yeah, Fenwick just did it.
She's been touched by the Curse of Fenwick, so yeah. So in the end, I'd say the episodes are pretty good. They explain most of it. The music's and so you say we move on to the final serial of classic Doctor Who?
Yeah, but again, all of this, like character development, intense scenes, all of this connecting up to the episodes is something that pretty much all of classic Doctor Who is completely lack.
A lot of classic Doctor Who.
That's why the serial and Sylvester era is the best.
Yeah, so the last one we have here is called Survival. So this is the last serial of classic Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Is it a great way to end it? It's okay. It's
alright.
Is it the greatest?
It's not as big and climactic as like the Curse of Fenwick, but it can still work as an ending.
And it has the Master.
It has the Master, which is always good. The classic Doctor Who could at least have an ending with the, like a reoccurring villain.
Yeah, though this episode again doesn't make as much sense as some of the episodes in the first two seasons, but that's kind of just the thing with I wouldn't want to say the curse, but just the thing with the final season of Sylvester. But that doesn't stop it from being a good episode.
Yeah, it still makes enough sense.
The Master's in it. It doesn't really explain how he comes back.
He's kind of just there.
But he is there, and so Ace and Sylvester return to Perivale, and that's where Ace's hometown, but they never actually really go and visit Ace's family. However, they visit some of Ace's friends, and they keep making all these hints about survival, these jokes. There's this cat, this evil cat.
They're little critters that can transport you to this other world, where there are these cheetah people that are pretty much just intelligent carnivores that the Master is controlling, and never really explains how he can control them.
He brought them, the world he brought them to is dying.
The creatures are connected to the planet, and the more that they fight, the more the planet will to pretty much be destroyed. The Master is slowly turning into an animal like everyone who comes on the planet is, and then eventually Ace starts to turn into an animal.
Yeah, this dives into more, kind of more
Character
development of Ace, because now, after everything, now Ace is literally getting turned into, well, an animal. And so that's not really the greatest, because, you know, Sylvester can't have an animal as a companion.
No.
So, yeah, the Master, it doesn't really explain really where he comes from, but he's kind of just, as we mentioned before, kind of there, and, there's the Sergeant.
He's there.
Yeah, the Sergeant and his boys, and so, the thing is with these episodes, there's a final, encounter, a final duel with the Sergeant, the Sergeant died.
Yeah. He's dead. So it's the Master, and he's coming up the hill, and, Sylvester and Ace are down there, but then,
they're on motorcycles.
Yeah, and then there's, all the teenage boys are with them. It's, just, the final battle of Classic Doctor Who, just, involves these teenage boys, motorcycles, but...
Yeah.
Well, what did you expect? Oh, the final battle and the teenage boys and everything. They kind of all just run away at once, which is a little anticlimactic, but it still works good enough, though.
I think we'd get something a bit more climactic, but we don't. It's a bit of a letdown.
That's what I mean.
Master and Sylvester do have a final duel, kind of. But Sylvester escapes, and the Master's trapped in the dying world. However,
he just probably gets away, like Sylvester says at the end, because the thing with these last episodes Doctor Who is they're always letting the villains get away so they can come back again, because it wasn't supposed to end. And this wasn't even supposed to be the last serial of Doctor Who. They didn't. When they wrote the episode, they didn't know that. Of course, when they were filming it, they did, and that's why they added Sylvester's little monologue at the end as he's walking off to make it seem like an ending. When originally it wasn't meant to be.
When the rest of the episode doesn't really feel like an ending at all, honestly.
Yeah. Which isn't the episode's fault.
It's the BBC's fault.
Yeah. But that's the thing with the Sylvester episodes. They're always building up to something more that's going to be happening. A lot of deleted scenes from all of the Sylvester serials involve characters in Sylvester talking about how he's more than just any Time Lord, how he's some really special person, something special that they were going to dive into in the near future. But all this special stuff never happened.
No,
the whole show was
canceled.
The whole show was really supposed to change, but it got canceled before they could do all the stuff that they were planning and building up to, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah,
but then that makes probably the last serial. So in the end, it's not a horrible serial.
No, not horrible.
The effects are bad, but
yeah, some of the effects.
There aren't actually that many effects in the episode to begin with.
They make the sky. Sometimes, what they do in these episodes, they make the skies of different alien worlds kind of a different color. The sky's kind of pinkish here. Looks okay, but not great.
Yeah.
When the Master starts going evil, his eyes glow and stuff, and some of that doesn't look the greatest either, but...
Well, yeah.
The horse ridings have been impressive. You got some people to ride horses in cheetah outfits.
In 100-degree weather, probably, so that's impressive.
Yeah.
Again, and they have a lot of on-set shooting, which is good. And again, all this stuff that Tom Baker, the old man...
Wasn't there a part about the river in the episode?
Yeah, Ace drinks from the river, and that makes her
an animal. Yeah. Yes, that's what I have in my mind, because see, it builds more on the fact that you have to become an animal no matter what, even if you're brought there. However, it doesn't ever really get to Sylvester, of course, though. But that's kind of.
It does by the end when he's fighting the Master, but he realizes and he stops.
So I guess that's it then, I suppose.
Yeah.
The last episode gone.
I guess it's time to wrap it up and prove our point one last time.
Yeah. I just hope so you enjoyed this video.
Well, guys, that was the video.
Yeah. Hey, guys, that was a pretty cool video. Thanks for watching. And
yeah. Us here at a very nice... We've been your hosts, Mike and, Sully.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys.
Hold on a minute.
Hey,
you're not Barry.
And you're Miss Puck. What do you want, woman? We're making a YouTube video.
You're not supposed to be here. I came to complain to Barry Piglet, not you monsters. What are you talking about? Yeah.
What? Scram! Scram!
I wish we were in your heart.
Scram! I'll poke your brain! Poke us and make you really sick! Run! Scram! Scram!
Good heavens! It's horrible, I tell you! Deplorable! Oh, dear me. Dear me. Oh, my.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, dear.
Hey, Mike? So, where'd you guys go?
I scared them off for you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Why?
because they're not supposed to be here. This is your YouTube channel.
Well, thanks, Miss Puff.
You're welcome. And by the way,
What?
I don't think you should be making this video. It has opinions in it, and opinions will make other people mad. Goodbye.
Well, that's one pufferfish's opinion, eh, Barry?
Yep, certainly ain't mine. Well, thanks for watching, folks.
Yeah, guys, thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. If anyone actually watched this, we know somebody watched the first one because they left a very rude comment, but
Jackass.
besides that...
Yeah. So, in the end, this is really why the Sylvester era Class Doctor Who is the best.
Why is it the best? I honestly just think it is generally because the best stories, more characters, development, some of the music. Sometimes the stories aren't really explained, like in this last season, but the first two seasons have stories that are explained pretty good. So in the end, I when you compare this to something like The Old Man, or what Tom Baker I've seen, it doesn't hold up as well, unfortunately. These other episodes just don't hold up like the Sylvester era really does.
Yeah.
And like, so we're watching Classic Doctor Who. We have Bird Box. We have it for nearly a year now. And so what we did was we started watching The Old Man, the first Doctor. We just couldn't. So we went and watched all the Sylvesters, and then we went back, finished Old Man, and we started trying. So it's like, it's just so much better. Like and then comparing it to what Tom Baker's I've seen, and it's just like, why?
It's not fair that people think this is bad.
It's just like a stereotype of 80s Doctor Who that it's bad.
But
I
really,
think people
it's the
are
best.
people are lightening up. I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know if people
as the
think
generation.
this is the, I don't think a lot of people think this is the best, but there are people out there who at least won't call this bad, like people did back on the day, and like people did in the early days of YouTube and the internet.
Yeah, because there are people lightening up. And as long as people can lighten up and be more critical and look at things from a different perspective, then they can realize Sylvester era is the best.
Or at least good.
Good, at least good.
At least good.
At least you can realize that, like...
it's okay.
Yeah, it's high quality.
So I guess that's it then, Barry.
Yeah.
It's been a great video. Great 3 videos.
Yeah. So if you're watching, please subscribe for more. Subscribe to us. We'll subscribe back to the if I do not know if I have some time. So you have to comment in the comment section this and other videos telling us.
And now we've got like a collection of like 1,000 screenshots from the Sylvester era.
We'll delete them all.
Yeah. Well, goodbye.